I'd like to strategically place it. So that
You do have Chris Thorne as a co-host. Chris Thorne. Wait, Fraser, is that on? There's sticker.
Sticker, it's hard to get the front.
I just have oh, B.
But just the big one. Oh, she worked for McConnell Printing. They're retired and pretty much on their boat and. No. And on the jury.
I got that twice.
Sweet. They always let me go. Cause I know.
Yeah, we are on.
The last time around,
Are we all set?
So.
Right.
I said,
All right, we already opened the meeting before the executive session, but we'll do the roll call just so it's on the YouTube.
Katie Fisher,
Adam Quickly.
Peggy Smith,
Julie White.
Katie Souls.
Louis Gregory.
And Brian Cirkvac. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes for April 15th, 2026?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving on to open forum. This is for business not on the agenda. Anyone in the room or online can address the board and have 3 minutes of time to speak on anything not on the agenda. Any takers online? Okay. Keep moving. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2026-0501, filing of complaint and jury demand. Chris Thorne to present.
Is he on there, Wendy? No, he said he's on. There we go.
Good evening, board. This item, and I'll be brief here since this item was discussed during the executive summary session earlier this evening. The item seeks board approval of a resolution authorizing the filing in Grand County District Court of a complaint for damages against Moltz Constructors, Inc. Regarding breach of a construction contract for water treatment improvements at the Upper Fraser Valley wastewater treatment plant. Both the proposed resolution and the draft complaint are included in the board's packet, and as I mentioned, were discussed earlier this evening. In general, the complaint seeks monetary damages resulting from defective construction work and would be filed by the town as the manager of the wastewater treatment plant. The town staff recommends approval of the resolution so that the legal process for recovery of funds expended to repair and replace the defective work can be started. I'm happy to answer any additional questions anybody may have about this.
Seeing any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-05-01 or 0501, filing of a complaint and jury demand.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to Grand County CASA, court-appointed special advocate presentation, Sharon Silva and Jim McCormick.
Hello.
Mr. Mayor, council, and staff, thank you so much for giving us some time tonight. My name is Jim McCormick. I'm the executive director of Northwest Rocky Mountain CASA, who serves the 14th Judicial District, Moffett County, Broward County, and Grand County. Since 2007 here in Grand County, our organization began here in Grand County, has its roots here in Grand County, and then moved into the other two counties of the 14th Judicial District, becoming an independent organization in 2012. So we applied and received some funding from you recently. Wanted to come and thank you for that and just give you an update on what's happening with CASA in Grand. And if you have my presentation, you can put it up. Thank you. Sharon Silva is on our board, and here in Grand County, I have 3 board members here in Grand County for the CASA board. Great. Well, one of the things that I would tell you is that we have a cause in CASA, and all of us have causes in our life that are very much a part of who we are. And a cause is defined as a principle, an aim, a movement that because of deep commitment, one is prepared to defend or advocate for. And that's what CASA does, court-appointed special advocates. When a child or children find themselves in a situation of an abuse or neglect case in court, we are appointed by the judge in the case to come alongside the child and follow that process with the children through, making sure that the court is very aware of what the best pathway for that child is. We're the only organization to advocate for children within the court system. We are a nonprofit, obviously, and serve the 14th Judicial District. But that is really our cause, is to be the voice for children in court situations, in abuse and neglect settings. And the cause is great, unfortunately. Over 200,000 calls to the child abuse and neglect hotline a year, 30,000 of those cases investigated, 9,700 of them are substantiated, 71% of them by the parents, a great majority of them less than 1 year old there, and abuse and neglect being the major situation there. So the cause is great. And just since 2012, CASA has advocated for more than 500 children in the 14th Judicial District. I would love to be the executive director that closed CASA because there's no longer any need, but that unfortunately is not the case. And we are actually looking forward to the next 500 children that will need our services going forward. So 500 in our past, just since 2012, and we know that that's not the last 500 children that will need our help going forward that way. Neglect and abuse in Colorado, some of you might be aware of this. April was Child Abuse Prevention Month. I'm sure you had some folks come in and chat with you about that. Probably had a declaration about the month. But this is just a quick look at what some of the abuse situations in Colorado are and what the statutes in Colorado set aside as abuse, abandonment, parental care. The environment is injurious to the welfare of the child. Refuses to provide the child with proper necessary substance, education, medical care, any other care necessary for their health. Homeless without proper care, run away from home and otherwise beyond the control of his parent, and one who's been subjected by parental guardian or legal custodian to a pattern of habitual abuse. These would prompt someone to report, most likely, and then the Department of Human Services bringing a case up, an abuse or neglect case up against the parents in that situation. And I think many people think that abuse comes from other than the parents. And that stat to me is one that's sobering, that 71% of these cases are the parents of the child. So our charge in these dependent and neglect cases are to walk alongside this child as they go through the process. And really, we are there to represent the best interests of the children in the court. We meet with the child, meet with the families, meet with the caseworkers involved. We actually log reports in the record with the courts and give testimony in the court setting if needed be at that time. The courts do have folks that are there to look out for the interests of the children. But as you can imagine, they have a caseload. They have lots of families that are looking at their other cases. County attorney has lots of other things going on. So our advocate is really that person who can look at one child, one family, one case. And our goal, obviously, is to get to reunification of this family at some point. The two programmatic arms of CASA are the child advocacy with the trained CASA volunteers in the courts. And then because reunification is something that we feel is very important and our goal always for these families, we have a supervised family visit program. So you can imagine when this case comes forward to the courts, the child and the parents are separated. And that case can be 12 months, 18 months going forward. And if reunification is the ultimate goal, that's a long gap of no contact with the child. And so they request, the family does, and the court orders a contact so many hours a week that they can be in contact with that child, but it has to be in a supervised setting. And again, we're the only organization in the 14th Judicial District, so in Grand County, to provide a supervised setting where that family and the children can be reunified for 1, 2, 3 hours a week, whatever the court will allow. So that's our second arm, is providing these supervised family visits so they can be in contact so that when reunification happens, hopefully it's not so awkward, and the advocacy for the children in the courts. 14th Judicial District, 500 children advocated for since 2012. These are the cases and children that we've overseen. And just since 2020, so 2020, almost 200 children in over 100 cases in the 3 counties that we oversee. So really what we are trying to do is create pathways, a way of achieving a specified result, a course of action, a series of actions that can be taken in order to achieve something. Our hope is to achieve reunification for that family. And it's a process that usually has some things like rehab and that kind of thing involved. We're hoping that at the end of this process, the family can get back on track, get the kids back, and really move forward. But we ensure safety and stability first, and then hope for the future. As you can imagine, in this situation, the child has hardly any say in what's going on in one of the most vulnerable times of their life. And so it really is up to us to be the ones that lay out the pathways for the courts and the families and the county attorneys and the Department of Human Services to say, this is the best path for this child. We know that research says that the best path for the child ultimately is to be in a solid family going forward. And so that's what we're working for. But if not, we want to be the ones that are saying, this is the path that's right in this situation. So safety, stability, and hope for the future is really what we are for. And we are enabled when we have volunteers who want to serve. The rest of the summer here, you'll see kind of an outreach in Grand County from me for volunteers to help us with this advocacy. Obviously, when we have donors and sponsors who want to enable our work, thank you for your support for that. And you'll see a report from me, I think, in October about what we've done with the money that you've provided. Community awareness, and that's why I'm here tonight, is to continue to make folks aware of our organization and what we do. Thanks to Sharon Silva, I've been with every city council, the county commissioners, several organizations here in Grand to tell them about our work. And obviously, when we have DHS, the courts and the county processes on our side, and we have a great working relationship here. Judge Hoke, who is in Grand County, was one of the first judges who put CASA together back in 2007. So this year, we are celebrating our 15 years as an organization. Our first few years while we were here in Grand, we had to act under the state CASA guidelines. And then we became a separate organization that all 18 CASAs in the state, every judicial district in the state has a CASA. We became a separate entity in 2012, and we're celebrating that 515. You might know about our Big Dances with the Stars fundraiser in Steamboat, which we just had. And that is my presentation for the evening. What can I answer for you?
What kind of training do the volunteers go through?
So volunteers have a 30-hour training actually, and then an annual upgrade as well. But 30 hours, that's a kind of an amalgamation of national CASA, state CASA, and local CASA. So the training is pretty varied, pretty wide and varied.
How many volunteers do you have?
So currently, as I count them in my head, we're probably in the 15 range of volunteers. We have a longtime volunteer here in Grand who has helped us for many, many years. And Rose Reed is her name. And so we try to pick up enough volunteers to have a good bench, but also every time a case comes up, we need a volunteer to step in. So Moffett County is actually our busiest county. So we have currently 7 or 8 volunteers there, 5 en route and 2 here in Grand.
And I'm assuming you want that individual volunteer to be with that child as the advocate through that 18-month process.
Correct.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a 12-month process, but we all know about that. It's it usually 12 to 18 months. What the courts are trying to do is get the child to what's called permanency in 12 months. But because of a lot of rehab things and things that go on during this time, they get continued quite a bit. So about 12 to 18 months is where they are. And yes, we want them to stick through that. And so many of our CASA volunteers will take a child or children through that process, and then they'll sit on the bench for a while until they take another one. Yeah. Not true with our volunteers in Grand. They tend to take one after the other, or sometimes have a couple cases together. Yeah.
How do the numbers compare to the other CASAs in Colorado?
Compare pretty well in like judicial districts, so rural Colorado, not obviously as well on the Front Range. So, a place like Jefferson County would have hundreds of cases a year. But a place like a Southern CASA or Grand Junction would be pretty close to us. Yeah.
Lewis, you have your hand up?
Yeah, hi, thanks for the presentation. I just a couple of questions. So who are the medical providers? Because I know there are not very many pediatricians. Well, I don't think there's any in Grand County. And also, what happens to the children when they're taken away? Are they put in foster care or are they relocated outside of the district? So how do you manage that?
Yeah, we don't work with any medical providers actually. So that would be a separate process if they needed medical attention as they got into this setting, into this process. Yes, with this, the child is either set into a foster care situation or what's called a kinship care situation. Someone in their family, sphere takes them for that time. But what I understand in Grand County is that most of the foster care is not in the county, is outside the county. We're en route in Moffett. all the foster care is in the county there.
So they're sent to the Front Range or somewhere else outside the
Correct.
county.
Correct.
Okay.
How many foster care families do we have in Grand County? Not that many, right?
Not, yeah, not that many, and or if any at this point. So I was told by DHS that they have chosen to go outside the county just because they were struggling with qualified foster care here in the county. Yeah.
Interesting.
Kinship obviously is the better option. You know, grandmom or someone like that takes them for the period. And for many of our other cases, that happens quite often. Yeah.
Well, you do good work. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your support. And I'll be back after the terms of our funding to let you know what we did with your funding. So really appreciate that, and would appreciate anyone in your mind that you think might like to volunteer with our organization. Love to have that go on as well. And great questions. This is our best question council of all of them. So
Okay,
thank you so much. Yeah, blessings on your work.
thank you.
Appreciate
Count on yours.
All right, Regional Transportation Authority for Grand Park, West Mountain, and Byers Peak Properties. Nicole Pakoff, I believe, is online.
Is Nicole on, guys?
There you are. We'll get you unmuted here.
And Clark Lipscomb for the record at the podium, just in case, but Nicole's deal. So we didn't expect 40 degrees sun and no snow. So Nicole was going to come up here, but we expected icy roads and not safe driving. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me attend virtually. I really anticipated, like Clark said, that the roads would be treacherous, and it's sunny in Denver now at 6 o'clock. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask before I begin, is it best if I share my screen so you can see the presentation and I can click through as needed?
Yeah, that'd
yes,
be great.
that would be best, Nicole. You all see that okay?
Yes.
There you go. Great.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and trustees. Again, my name is Nicole Pakoff with Spencer Fain. Thank you for allowing us to present our proposal this evening to form the Grand Park West Mountain Regional Transportation Authority. Our goal this evening is to provide an overview of regional transportation authorities and how the implementation of such an authority in the town of Fraser would help address certain transportation challenges within the town.
Hey, Nicole, if you're sharing a presentation, we can only see the slide deck. We can't see your active presentation.
Okay. One moment. Can you see this? I might just leave it at this then if that works for you all.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay? All right.
That works.
And just to note too, please feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions as I proceed. Okay, so this evening we will briefly discuss the town's current public transportation system. We will then explain what a regional transportation authority can do. Next, we'll describe the financing mechanisms available to these types of authorities. And then finally, we'll go through how to form a regional transportation authority. As you all are aware, the LIFT is the free bus system serving Winter Park, Fraser, and Granby. The LIFT is overseen by the Winter Park Town Council and advised by the Transit Advisory Committee with representatives from Fraser, Winter Park Ski Resort, and Grand County. Fraser restricts 1% of its sales tax revenue to fund its portion of the lift system. Unfortunately, the town's sales tax revenues the past couple of years have been insufficient to maintain and operate the lift at desired levels. Here, on the right side of the slide, we have highlighted the emerald line, where service has been reduced as a result of funding shortfalls. Without an alternative or additional funding source, service reductions will continue, and it is unlikely that the lift will be able to support the new development currently happening in West Mountain. This is where we move to our proposed solution for the town's transportation funding shortfalls. We propose to create a regional transportation authority for Grand Park's West Mountain development. However, we view this proposal as a pilot initiative. The town can evaluate its effectiveness and the public and community support, and then determine whether broader implementation makes sense for other areas that could use additional transportation authority or services. So what is a regional transportation authority? So let's back up a little bit. A regional transportation authority is a type of local government separate from its members that can provide transportation systems and address transportation needs in a particular region. A regional transportation authority consists of a combination of governmental entities, which could include counties, municipalities, and special districts. The proposed members of the Grand Park West Mountain Regional Transportation Authority would be the town of Fraser, the West Mountain Metro Districts, and Byers View Metro District. Regional Transportation Authority has essentially the same powers as its members as they relate to transportation. For our proposed Regional Transportation Authority, we envision the authority expanding upon the current public transportation system within Fraser by supporting the West Mountain community. In addition, such authority would operate and maintain that system, such as maintaining the vehicles, facilities, and equipment. And it would also manage the network supporting that transportation system by setting routes, establishing schedules, hiring drivers, mechanics, etc. As the town would be a member, it would be a partner in establishing this system. However, we intend for Grand Park to provide early program funding to allow for the system implementation. As you can see here in the left-hand bottom corner of this slide, regional transportation authorities can also enable major transportation infrastructure. This means that the authority can also address another component of the town's transportation needs, which is connecting the West Mountain community to the northern base of the Winter Park Ski Resort. This would include a gondola and parking areas, which has the broader effect of alleviating parking pressure for the town's residents and visitors overall. Map on this slide depicts what that proposed bus system could look like for the West Mountain development. As you see here, the red stars are the proposed bus stops. And next, on this slide, is what that potential gondola connection would look like. Winter Park is on the north side of the map, and the West Mountain development is on the bottom half of the map here. So the north is on this pointing down. The gondola connection is highlighted or dotted in red. You all can see that. I know it's kind of small. Now, let's discuss the funding options that are available to these types of authorities. Regional transportation authorities can collect service-based revenue, such as fees, tolls, and user charges. These authorities can also impose a separate property tax mill levy of up to 5 mills. This connects the property owners that are within the Regional Transportation Authority's boundaries with the system and their contributions towards that system, and given that they would benefit. Additionally, regional transportation authorities can impose sales and/or use taxes and visitor benefit taxes up to 2%. These types of taxes target the visitors and non-residents that will benefit from the transportation system. And then on the bottom right-hand corner are a couple other sources of revenue, including a $10 annual vehicle registration fee that the authority can impose and collect. And then the authority can also issue bonds to finance the infrastructure to support the system. Next, we're going to turn to the organizational procedure for regional transportation authorities. First, the proposed members each hold 2 public hearings regarding the formation. The members then enter an agreement to create the transportation authority, and this sets forth the governance, the rights, responsibilities, and powers of the authority. That agreement is then sent to the entities listed here for review and comment. And then finally, an election is held, and the registered voters within the Regional Transportation Authority's boundaries vote on the questions of the formation, the approval of the agreement, and the debt and taxing powers of the authority. Summary, we believe that a regional transportation authority is a feasible option to address the town's transportation funding challenges. The authority will provide additional funding sources with property owners, visitors, and users all contributing. This lessens the burden on the town's existing transportation funds, and it creates a solution that can be replicated elsewhere in the town. The Regional Transportation Authority can be both sustainable and allow for beneficial and creative solutions for other transportation and traffic-related issues the town is experiencing, such as by building the gondola connection that I mentioned earlier. Thank you for your time and attention this evening. We both, Clark and myself, are available for questions and welcome any feedback and direction from the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. And thank you to Michael and Brian for putting this on the agenda. Our goal was to lay this out there and explain how these can be created, and that this is kind of the initial step. What we know is we need at Grand Park transportation. And we know the situation the town's in with the transportation system. And frankly, the last thing I want to be dealing with on top of everything else is transportation. But it's very important to our community, to our real estate sales, to the people living in our community, and for them to know, are they going to have transportation or are they not going to have transportation? So this is timely because we're just about to do our first new subdivision. It's a custom home lot project called the Overlook with 79 home sites. And we believe it's in everybody's interest, if you want to pursue this, to get this in place at least where it can be fully disclosed, because I think the election would be in November, but to get something in place sooner than later, because not at this meeting. Obviously, we need to do some more work, but the goal was to see if you all had any questions, see if this is something that the board supports before we go further. And, you know, I guess the best way I can say it is I don't know what I don't know on this yet. But what I do know is transportation is important, and it's important to real estate sales. It's important to our business community. And we're trying to be solution oriented with some of the challenges that your current system and how it's operated and funded works. A system in Grand Park is going to, and this is West Mountain only, by the way. So this is purely, there's one owner, you know, us and the town. It takes 2 votes. It's going to evolve. Early on, you're not going to have much of a tax base. There's not going to be much revenue. There's also not going to be much transportation need. And it's also probably not prudent to be running giant buses up to the neighborhood. So again, we're trying to move forward with some ideas and some solutions, knowing full well we're gonna have to figure this out. But first step of figuring it out is establishing the entity, of which we would want a board member from the town on, and probably our homeowners association as well, another board seat. And so these are all things that we would want to work out. Okay. So, any questions?
Clark, when do you think you guys, if this is something the board is approachable to, what do you guys would see as far as like a service plan timeline? When you guys think you could actually draft like a service plan and you know, we'd be happy to host workshops for how that service plan could look, and ultimately how those funds would be used to address public transportation while balancing things like, you know, the vehicular transportation and the gondola, you know, project that you're working on as well.
Yeah, and let me just touch on the gondola. This is an idea that dates back to when we first acquired the property, and it's been investigated, and this is not an alternative to what Winter Park's proposing. Let me just be very clear on that. When we acquired the Denver Water Board property and pre-Interwest, there was actually access through to what was a parking lot that had a vernacular that went to the Pioneer Lift. And some of you that have been here a long time might remember those master ski area plans. We think it is important to provide parking for our challenged parking situation at our ski area. We think it alleviates some traffic issues on 40, and the underpass is what really makes that possible. And providing direct access to the northwest side of the ski area could be, you know, hugely beneficial for the ski area as well. So we looked at that as complementary to what other methods are being proposed by Winter Park. And it purely is a transportation piece. That is, in my mind, a lower priority. I think if somebody said that's a high priority, we'd make it a high priority really quickly, but I need other people to cooperate and agree to do that kind of a plan. The immediate need and the immediate purpose would be physical bus type, you know, van type transportation, like, you know, whether it's, you know, kind of think hotel shuttles. You guys have all been in hotel shuttle vans, right? We think that's probably the initial phase. Something, you know, fairly modest, fairly small, very easy to operate, not very expensive to operate. So again, it's one of those things that would evolve, Michael, and I think we would want to structure it, of course, to be able to do a gondola and other means of transportation that may come about. But I think, Nicole, what kind of time frame do you think you could prepare a plan that we could submit to the town if the board was supported?
We'd be willing to work within whatever timing the board allows. If we can get on a schedule in the near future, we can turn around an establishment agreement for the town to review rather quickly.
I would not support additional fees on our sales tax. We just can't.
Totally up
That
for,
shuts down everything. And the expenses, this would be something we'd have to take a look at, thinking about the huge investment that Winter Park has made in the new facility and the amount of buses. I know that Granby recently took over their transportation system. Now they're looking at $100,000+ a year for a new executive director. And the costs are just exponential. Personally, I would like to see us be able to come up with some better funding solutions overall. that would help us support. Probably, I don't, maybe something to the degree you want there, but not, there's no other neighborhoods up here. Does Rendezvous get that kind of service? No. Yeah, so, I mean, realistically, it's, anyway,
Rendezvous has full bus service and it wasn't cut at all.
well, I
We're
know
trying to-
on
Is it down
the,
the
but
street?
they're on the main, just on the main, arterial street, right? that
Mhm.
goes
Well,
through
just
there.
Yeah, it doesn't go to the top.
It doesn't go to the
So-
south, it just nips the
Can't go
bottom.
to the.
Yeah.
but, Yeah,
So-
ours,
Anyway,
Yeah.
the expense is a huge concern, and I don't think we can load anything else onto our sales tax.
Well,
personally.
So that's just an option.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could
Right.
do a bunch of things or one thing or whatever.
Yeah, it's worth looking. I don't want to shut it
Katie,
down.
that's
Yeah.
why
But-
we're looking to alleviate an expense. Our proposal in this is to take this off the town's plate of responsibility. This would,
But if
this
we
would,
partner, how does that?
this would
does-
relieve your budget of expanding transportation on the West Mountain, which is also in your comprehensive plan. Okay, so maybe that wasn't clear in the presentation.
Yeah.
This means that the lift would not go up the mountain. We would create our own transportation system that would get people to the Safeway, to the ski area, or potentially to other lift stops. Another thing that kind of promulgated this was a number of things, but we were requested in our FPDP submittals to do a full transportation plan for the West Mountain. We also recently in our apartment submittals were asked by the county to do a full transportation plan for a transportation system that doesn't exist and to put in bus stops and things like this. And that was a little bit awkward. And that's really what started to drive this thought process even more is we do these plans and these studies, but we're sitting there going, okay, this is all great, putting all these plans on paper. However, the lift cannot be expanded. In fact, you're contracting it and it needs some financial overhaul, more likely than not, right? I mean, something has to give. And given that we have 30 plus miles of roads, and I don't know how many bus stops up the mountain, this became one of the kind of most prominent I've been asking, I think since October, not beating you guys, but basically I started seeing this in October after we did the big transportation plan. And I think that our goal was not to, we're trying to alleviate a burden for the town. We're trying to not add something to your plate. If you didn't want a board seat, fine with me. This would be, you know, as you guys know how I do things, it's entrepreneurial, spirit driven. We figured out there will be no $100,000 directors running the Grand Park RTA. No way, no how. So that's, I think, a key component that I would just want you to understand.
And just
Okay.
just a point of clarification is the 2% sales tax and that 5 mil levy on the property taxes would be for these geographic boundaries.
That's right.
They would not apply to like Safeway or anything else in town. It would be set on a geographic boundary for like future sales tax generating lodging units, commercial properties that would be located in West Mountain of Grand Park. That would not be applicable to the rest of the business community or the residents that would be paying those taxes
Yeah.
unless they were to go and, you know, stay at the lodging or engage in commercial, you know, storefronts and such like that in that West Mountain area alone.
Okay.
So that would not increase the sales tax here in the rest of Fraser, just
Okay.
that portion.
Yeah.
I think that even applies to your $10 per car registration.
It does.
But again, it's just within the resident.
Yeah, all it is an add-on just for that specific area. So literally we're no impact from my perspective to the
Yeah.
town. And a potentially really good solution for addressing what is a big quandary. If we go really fast up the West Mountain, there's no way
Yeah.
that the lift, I mean, it just can't, right? I mean, that's obvious and we know that. And you guys know that. It's no secret.
Especially
I mean, we're truly trying to create a solution that maybe sets a platform and understanding we're going to figure a lot of stuff out, but you know, we
You're a
figure
cute
stuff out.
guy.
We figure stuff out
Yeah.
and we'll make some mistakes. I can promise you we'll make mistakes but we're always, you know, able to kind of fix our mistakes and I think we can create a pretty robust, unique system that can serve this area very well. And in a way, it should enhance the income of the town because it's going to, without this system, the people that are living up there getting to town are either driving their cars, or figuring out some other way to get to town. So, our goal is let's get them down to our restaurants, our breweries, our bars, the grocery store, ski area. Let's help get them there and their kids. Kids are the big one, really, frankly. So that's the goal. And, there's nothing in this for me other than more work, and I don't need any more work, guys. So, I mean, but I think it's that important that we need to figure it out. And we've got Nicole's extremely smart. The platforms have been done before. It's allowed by state law. I think it just makes sense. But zero added expense to you. The way I looked at it, Katie, was it should alleviate the town of a responsibility to serve that area. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Take it off your plate. Okay.
That would be
Yeah.
quite
So
remarkable.
Clark, it says funding options. And there's several more. Are you going to use all of them?
No, Peggy, up for discussion. This is generic. And what Nicole did was lay out what's allowed under state regulations. Okay, so totally optional. And I think, that would be, if you guys said this makes some sense, I think next step is let's go start putting some ideas on how this evolves, right? And getting some numbers put to it from our perspective. This will have to be subsidized early on. And it could be subsidized through us. It could be subsidized through our service areas in our HOA. They can contract and do very much like Winter Park Ranch as an example, has HOAs that pays the lift for service. Those are things that can be done early stage when you don't have a property tax base. These are all custom home lots. So think like I did Leland Creek. This is Leland Creek too. I did that 20 years ago, and it's just now getting to where it's built out. Right. So, I mean, a lot of property tax base in there today, but early on it, took a while, and this will take a while, but, doing custom home lots, great for our custom home builder community, right? Cause it's going to give them a lot of stuff to build, but it will take a much longer time to build property tax base in a custom home lot neighborhood than if we're building a product. Right. So, and I'm not building this product.
So everybody in
Ma'am?
town's talking about you. We all want to know when you're going to start.
Aren't they always?
They are. They're all good. They want to know when they can start
Is
building.
Is it a good thing or is it?
It's a good
I don't
thing. It's all
know.
good. Clark, so, when I read all this, I had a vision in my head that it was ski area centric, but you just made it sound like it was a little bit more open. Would that shuttle be taking them to Safeway and to the DDA area? And
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think early on, and I know there's ways to do this. We have shuttle service, for instance, and we have a similar community in Mexico that's a pretty big community. We have shuttle services, and you can book the shuttle on your app. So I think early on, we probably create an app-based system for homeowners that's more, one van, and it's, it's that early stage, and maybe you have some scheduled pickups, but not that often, and you keep your costs very low. And you manage it and you grow it. And, interestingly, we did, as a company, I was just starting with Tom 30 years ago. We did the Hampton Inn on Tower Road. That was the first hotel on Tower Road out by DIA. So we built that, and we built the Comfort Suites next door. We sold the Microtel parcel and had that built. We still own the diner, best food on Tower Road, by the way. Give them a plug. The Tower Diner there. But we had to evolve similarly a transportation system. And it was, I can remember it was like one of the debates early on, like, how are we going to do this? Because at first you just had one hotel, and it was really hard to justify the full-time bus there, the van, and there were no other hotels out there. There was nobody to collaborate with, to partner with. So it became a scale thing. It became, well, let's go build another hotel. It'll solve the bus system problem. And then so we ended up having at the end a shuttle system that served all three hotels. I don't see this as a whole lot different program, right? We'll be figuring it out as we go. And as we need to add stuff, we add stuff. If we need to pare it back and adjust it, we're pretty adept and fluid and flexible, and we'll adjust it.
Okay.
So I think it's got to be very organic and evolve with the neighborhood early on. And then, let's say we're fortunate enough to get a big hotel up there. Well, that's a game changer. So then that shuttle service changes dramatically. but it is intended to go, yes, Ace Hardware, Safeway. Basically what I envision the limits of its service area in terms of, we're gonna have the funding area, but then where it will drive
Right.
needs to be Fraser to Winter Park. That's it. Nowhere else. I frankly think that's one of the core problems with the current lift. It's gotten stretched too thin. And I think there are mechanisms for billing it, et cetera. I don't agree with. And we don't need to get into that, but I've seen this happen. I saw it happen in Aspen with the Roaring Fork Transit Authority where they stretched themselves too thin, too far, and they almost went bankrupt. And it was originally approved to serve Aspen and Snowmass, right? And so it stretched, all the way to Silt. And anyway, we don't want to have that. We're thinking small, entrepreneurial, somewhat resident driven in terms of their input and feedback. And I think with technology, we can create a pretty robust little system. It's a small area. It's not a big area.
I know you're
sounds like
focused on West Mountain, but I'm looking at the economics of it and I'm like, okay, if we eliminate the Emerald line, which we probably won't, we combine it with something else because there's other stops and stuff. The Orange line, I don't know if that saves us, even gets us back into budget. So, I mean, have you even put a lens on of the whole town or
Well, I think,
because I think even if you're presenting just for West Mountain, you probably ought to keep that lens in mind as well, because I mean, we'll save a little bit of money, but I don't know if it's
So-
enough,
yeah, a couple of things on that, Adam. I think this can be built and structured so it could be expanded. So let's say the Grand Park, West Meadow residents said, we want to be on that system. We could potentially add it in. It would take cooperation with the town to do that, and it would take a vote of those people that live there. That's kind of the beauty of doing this now before we sell stuff. We can put it in place and then people know this is what you're getting. So I think there's that flexibility. However, I think the Emerald line, and this is where I think some of the math's not great for us in the town. I'm saying us, the town.
Okay.
The Emerald line parallels Highway 40, right? Think about it. Old Victory Road, I paralleled old Highway 40. So why send buses down Highway 40 when they could be picking people up, running the same mileage? And frankly, mileage is wear and tear on the buses, not hours sitting there, So I think the Emerald line makes a lot of sense with the road network we built in the West Meadow and the Fraser Valley Parkway, we built it, right? I mean, so, and don't put buses on the highway. I mean, keep them off the highway and have them go through. I think West Fraser should be served by that. I mean, Byers Peak Ranch is certainly in the back of my head because of the county saying, well, we want bus service there. Well, this system could very easily service the Byers Peak Ranch area, and it could be expanded over that, very much so. But that would take an agreement with the county as well. And I think all doable, but the initial idea and the initial start and effort is the West Mountain. Because again, we got to figure out a way to make the lift work for the town or an alternative for the town. And I think your new comprehensive plan talks about expanding transportation. I don't think it necessarily keys in on expanding just the lift. I think it's just general transportation. Like
Multi-model.
yeah. So, I mean, I think this is kind of an option. It's an option for you guys. Really, we're putting it out there and saying, we're willing to go spend the money, try to figure this out, put some ideas and some plans out there if you guys are open to looking at it with an open mind, and then we try to get it in place. If you say, heck no, then great. I know. And then we got to figure out, well, what are we marketing on the West Mountain? Because it will be one of the predominant questions. It's a prominent question. I mean, the realtors in the room, you guys know transportation matters. Yeah.
Hey, Lewis has a question. Lewis, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, hey, Clark.
Hey, Lewis.
Michael might have touched on this already. I was just wondering, in terms of the boundaries of the RTA, would that just be West Mountain, or would it encompass other areas? And then is this going to be, in competition with the lift, or is it totally a totally independent venture that's going to service just West Mountain?
Yeah, good questions. It's the funding area is only West Mountain. It's approximately 1,200 acres, I mean, give or take. So purely our West Mountain boundary, nothing else. And it would be independent of the lift, and serving the residents that live in the West Mountain.
So it's not going to cost residents of Fraser or the rest of Grand Park any additional tax revenues or anything else?
Correct.
Okay.
Only West Mountain residents.
No, it'd be complementary to the existing
Yeah.
system, Louis.
Yeah, and Lewis, I don't know if you heard me talking to Katie's question, Katie Souls, but the goal is to alleviate the responsibility and the expense of the lift going up the West Mountain and trying to service it, thereby saving the town of Fraser that expense.
Okay.
An interesting thought is, so you say we get this going and you've got microtransit and you've got an app and everybody on West Mountain can use it. But what if somebody stays at the hotel, and what if the town of Fraser changes to a microtransit model? Are we still, if they call the lift, do we say go to the app, or does the lift do the microtransit up?
I mean, I think,
That's a ways away.
Yeah.
wait, you're way down the road.
I'm-
Hope we have a hotel.
We've already had this conversation,
I
so
think
now
you
I'm
would-
going beyond it.
I
so-
think you would, in my mind, at the hotel lodge, you have a QR code for transportation, and the QR code would go to the app for the West Mountain system.
Yeah.
Okay, so that you're not advertising the lift, you're advertising transportation for those hotels provided by the West Mountain RTA.
Right.
And the QR, most people are pretty good now with QR codes and scanning them, and they click on it, and of course they could, if we are so lucky to have a hotel, they go to the front desk too, and they can ask them. Right.
Yeah.
So
Good thought. Public meeting, and you've mentioned gondola. People are gonna be like, what's going on with the gondola? Like, how realistic are we talking? Like, I mean, there's gotta be a lot more hoops that you have to jump through, but where does it stand, I guess?
yeah, there's a lot of hoops. Well, I can tell you that I looked at it with a former ski area president, and he was pretty like, this is like way easier than what Winter Park's trying to do. Few people know how Grand Park wraps around the west side of Winter Park, and we actually abut the ski area boundary. And the Pioneer Lift is not far. It's that red line on there is a little over 13,000 lineal feet, and it's horizontal. It's not going uphill. So it's a way more, it's a way less costly gondola than if you're trying to go to, the top of Hughes. You're not, it's totally different. It's a people mover, right? And so, our understanding and knowledge of the very, very little bit of research we've done is not anywhere near what Winter Park is looking to spend, and also without the impediments of a railroad. And I don't know, they have lots of impediments on that one that I know they're working through, and they'll probably get through all of them, but it is complementary to it. I think one of the biggest challenges on that deal is, quite honestly, you've got an existing 200 car parking structure that's largely used by the businesses that are already there. I used to be in that building. And to spend that kind of money, that transportation center idea has really, really got to work. And because, I think people want to drive their cars. And I mean, personally, if I'm loading my kids and my gear and stuff up in my car, I'm not going to another spot to get on something else that's going to take me somewhere else to go to somewhere, you know what I mean? And I know that's their idea, is like, let's put parking lots along the highway and have transit pick them up, and then they go to the bus. I mean, that's planes, trains, and automobiles. And as an American culture, I mean, that's just not, you're in transportation. It's not realistic. People want the fastest way from point A to Z. So that idea was floated long time ago, and hasn't gained any real ground. I think it's a cool idea. We had an 8.5 surface acre parking lot proposed. We could do bigger. It's in a big flat area.
In
But
Grand Park?
you could have a huge, where the base station would be.
Right.
So you could have a huge parking lot, huge. And so rather than people, think about the congestion that goes through the town of Winter Park, this could alleviate that. right? I mean, they just basically turn off, go up under the underpass and, you know, a little ways up the hill and they're in a parking lot. So it's a neat idea. And, you know, if the ski area said, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do it, then we would be all in and we would make it happen.
Hey,
Um,
And
so-
Clark, just a note, you know, Winter Park did just complete last year a transit study.
Mhm.
And I think part of that study is park and ride models and such like that, or park and, you know, ride models.
Right.
So if you don't have that study, maybe that's something that could help with your justification and conversations with them.
No, and I think when it really starts to make a lot of sense for them, and have a lot of merit for them is when they do the expansion. I mean, let's just be honest, we all go to the ski area and it's like, you know, trying to put the people through the wrong end of the funnel. And where does everybody want to go? To the, you know, far back west side, and everything's jammed up right there at the bottom. This, you know, I really think having a Mary Jane access, a Winter Park base area access, and a north side access, a la, you know, Jerry Groswald kind of pre-Intra-West plan, Gary DeFrange was there. That makes a lot of sense for the ski area.
Yeah.
We have to get them to get on board with that idea. Katie, you were there for a long time, so you know about all those plans. So this is just a means to be able to maybe deliver on that idea. And I see more and more gondolas being used in urban settings for transportation, like moving people, you know, and they are pretty efficient to move people. I mean, there's no argument about you can move a lot of people pretty effectively when cars are just continuously showing up. And I will say, our idea, and we drew this to the top, was to go straight across and then build a turn station. And then from there, it'd be up to the ski area, but go straight to the top of Vasquez. Instead of, I think they have 5 lifts on their current plan, if I remember right. And it's kind of a la Wild Blue and Steamboat, which has been frankly a game changer there. And that takes all the beginners to the beginner area, turn station straight to the top of the mountain. And it seriously, I mean, when they turned that on, it was a game changer in terms of the congestion at the bottom and moving people on the mountain and getting them around. And I see this as being a potential similar approach. So this would give us another means and mechanism to be able to deliver that. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Gordon, your thoughts on?
We'll just look forward to hearing more
idea.
information.
Yeah, I guess we'd like to see some
Shake
numbers,
Yeah.
some actual.
So I think a lot of that,
The
information
you
not
essentially have to kind of create like a
system.
draft skeleton of a service plan before you can really, I think, kind of get some numbers stuck to it. So we'll keep working with them on that and keep it moving along. And we do have some counsel that will be helping us with this that we've identified too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the further away you get from Highway 40, the more expensive it does get to provide that service. And it is challenging, and we are working with Winter Park on looking at some real cost efficiencies with moving things forward with next winter season service and summer service. And then looking at hopefully renegotiating more favorable IGAs that make more sense for everybody. So, but this again, alleviating the town's burden for the transportation. I think there's no, you know, there's no concerns about expanding public transportation. I think it's a valuable thing to have in the community. And if there's a means that can do it, that alleviates the town's burden on that existing 1% sales tax that's used for transit trails and capital projects, not just for transit, but transit's taking it all. And I think it's definitely worth the town pursuing. So having those public hearings, having the public engagement component of it, looking at some good service plans that would, you know, be effective, and just having a good IGA that really supports the goals of what we're all trying to do here, I think is really the way forward.
Another question. When he asked Gondola, you mentioned Jerry and Gary. Have you talked to Sky?
No, I haven't. I did talk to Tom Carey and CA at one of their open houses in the Headwater Center. I think it's the Headwater Center, the one across from my office, during one of their presentations. And we've sent this to them. And they they misunderstood and thought we were proposing that in lieu of Winter Park's gondola. That's why I prefaced everything with this is in addition to.
Yeah.
And we've since clarified that with them that no, this is more of a complementary component.
That was
Okay,
my
so
first.
Right.
there's some work to do on that front, I think, Adam.
Okay.
To, you know, because I mean, there's operational changes that they
Well, that
would have
just
to
gets some
make. And there's a
reality
whole
to
lot of stuff
the situation.
entailed, but I think it could be a beneficial, and we don't want to slow down whatever they're trying to achieve with the town of Winter Park either.
Mhm.
You know, so, but this is a means to an end to be able to achieve that. And I think as a community goal, if we had a gondola access from Fraser to the ski area, pretty freaking cool.
Would be
I mean,
cool.
pretty cool. So, but anyway, that's it. So y'all
Thank
want
you.
me to go work further on this?
Yeah.
You think this is something that we should go pursue?
Yeah.
Or
Definitely do.
expectations of timeline, are you guys looking at a ballot?
I mean, my expectation is we would try to hit a November election. So it would be run and gun. I mean, you're Nicole, if, you know, we give her the green light, she'll go create,
I think
you
they're
know,
just 2 voters, though.
Yeah.
there's 2 votes.
So
But they,
Your
they
vote
need
and
steps
mine.
to get on the ballot.
There's actually,
On the ballot for
there's
2
actually one, Peggy, for the election. It's kind of weird, but yes, there will be 1 vote for the election. But to get it on the ballot, we need the town. Nicole, is that correct? It's us and the town that need to agree, right?
Correct, correct. The districts in the town need to agree on the agreement. And then there's an election of the voters, which would just be whoever's residing in the districts, which is 1, essentially.
So,
Interesting.
Will you?
Interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
great. Well, thank you guys again for the time, and I appreciate you guys getting it on the agenda. And Nicole, thanks for being on.
Thank you again for letting me attend virtually. Hope to see you all soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks, everybody.
bye.
Thanks for the presentation.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to resolution 2026-0502, authorizing the building department to extend the building permits for 78 and 118 Market Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. I'm Alan Seeliff, Assistant Town Planner. My slideshow up. Just got a few slides to go over here. So the board packet with the items was mostly a rehash of the materials presented last October when the building permits for the Market Street buildings were most recently extended. A few updates in here and photos to kind of catch us up to speed. So again, we're here, the building permits were previously extended in October 2025 for 6 months from the end of October to the end of April. We did administratively approve a 10-day extension just to get us to this first meeting in May. So we're discussing for direction, and then we'll hopefully be able to implement any approved extension by the end of this week. The applicant provided a status letter explaining kind of the nature of the remaining work. Updates on what's remaining, the completion status. They're citing 70% approximately of the exterior materials. That's citing masonry, any final finishes. There's remaining work on the awnings and porch. And I've got a few photos here coming up after this to help put it into context. But the awnings and porches, the roof materials. And then just as a clarification, the surrounding site work isn't currently anticipated to be captured by these permits. These permits are intended for the core and shells of the building, not ultimate habitation. There'd be further permits that would have to come in to complete the tenant fit out. So at that point, site work would be completed. And then just off the bat, given the progress made on these buildings, we're recommending the permits be extended to allow completion hopefully over the summer. So the applicant or the developer provided a few photos. These are in the packet. They're kind of zoomed in photos of a few angles of the building. They show some of the more intricate masonry work that's gone into the exteriors of these buildings, and claim that it's taken these take a bit more time to complete. And then some photos from today, just out there, current status. This is from Highway 40 looking across the street. The bulk of, I believe this is the south building, facing Highway 40. The exterior materials are complete. There's still some remaining work on the porches and awnings.
And then this is the rear of that building that also has a bulk of the work done, but some of the exposed roofs on the porch is incomplete. And then this is the south building from Highway 40. See the section in the middle there that doesn't have final exterior materials. And then that same section on the west side of the building. So just to recap the previous approval, October 2025, 180 days. The conditions associated with that included payment of use tax for the building permits for construction building materials that hadn't previously been required or paid up to that point. That was a condition of the permits being extended, and that was paid at the end of October. And then condition that the plats for the property are recorded, which is currently incomplete.
So what's the holdup on that?
So I'll provide a little status here, and then we can check with the developer, of course,
Okay.
Clark. But currently, the plat, the property that the plats are on, part of the larger Village at Grand Park area, currently unplatted. The final plat was approved, covering these lots and surrounding areas in April 2025. We did get submittals in April and May 2025, and had a few outstanding comments, both from staff and then from our referral agencies, Mountain Parks and Excel. So it's mostly been in a holding pattern, frankly, in terms of resubmittals. We haven't received a new resubmittal since May 2025, and not since the last permit extension. I believe the crux of that was inability to work out Excel easements on the site. We've since had further discussions, not only on this development, but other developments, in order to at least come to an understanding about recording plats without current Excel language implemented into it. So we're clear, and Excel's at least aware of the issues there, and haven't objected for town staff to proceed with the recording once we're able to finalize the details on kind of the remaining items, which were mostly kind of consistency issues between the specific plats for these buildings, the lot 10, 11A and 11B. There were some inconsistencies with the final plat, some typographical errors, and then some of the utility concerns that back in May of 2025 hadn't been resolved yet. This is just a carryover slide from the last extension, but stating that per the adopted building codes with our local amendments, traditionally the building official would be authorized to grant an extension of not more than 180 days. In this case, previous extensions were granted on the condition that the Board of Trustees receive this. So we're bringing it forward again, consistent with previous extension requests. And then just to point out that it doesn't need to be the full 180 days. Shorter extensions or longer could be permitted by the board. So staff were bringing forward the one remaining condition from October regarding the plats that needs to be completed prior to the certificate of completion for the building shells. And then if it was for 180 days, that would bring it to early November. So that concludes my presentation. I can help address any comments, and then of course, Grant Park here to.
It seems to me like the solution is to grant the extension, but make that record a contingent on recording ahead of time.
Potentially, yeah, we could.
And that way we each get the
dates
extension and
associated
we
with
get
that.
the recording.
I would say in the
Everybody
short
wins.
term, since the building permit's expiring
Those,
on Friday, we would want at least a shorter extension of that to allow that to continue, and then some reasonable amount of time for the final plats, perhaps earlier than the full building permits. So we might have to tweak the approval resolution if we want to go down that route.
seems like it takes care of both of our issues, time and plats recorded.
Well, and a lot of the recording, issues have been with, discussions with Excel and capacity and their ability to provide service in certain areas of the valley, which has kind of become somewhat of an issue as well. So it sounds like we have that resolved, and now I think it's just really just minor changes to these plats to get them finalized and recorded. I'll I would let the developer kind of speak to, weighing things for construction and getting things recorded and what they see as a feasible timeline on that.
Any other questions for Alan before we have the developer come up?
Thank you.
Excel. Yes. So Clark, do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah. Hey, Clark Lipscomb. Alan, good presentation. Thank you for doing that. Sorry to be wasting everybody's time. You can't rush Picasso, right? So, seriously, I mean, the brickwork, ask that girl how we've designed the finishes on these buildings. Okay, because it's not in the plans, right? I mean, seriously. And it's they're turning out really cool. They're
They
great.
are. That's
I'm
what
not
it's
happy. The only reason that the roof materials are all there. The only reason the porch roofs aren't on is because I'm still not happy with the wood siding components. I think it's a bit blah. And doesn't have, I know Peggy, you don't like Western. I love Western, right? So it doesn't have that Western flair that I want. The brick nailed it. The stone's really great. The precast caps that go on the parapets are there. They're gonna look awesome. The crew's moving along. I mean, unfortunately, we extended a building permit from October to April for mostly masonry work and stone, right? I mean, you saw the guys out there tenting and hey, it's Fraser. We're used to it. We just go year round. I mean, that's what you do, whatever it takes, right? So, I think that, the crew, it's a local crew that's doing this. They've never done brickwork like that, ever. I mean, that's one of those where I'm like showing them pictures and I'm saying, I want this there. And I never done that, but I'll try to do that. I think I can do that, right? And so, I mean, that's literally how this has happened, guys. And it's, I think they're going to be showpieces when they're done. I truly think it's going to be, one of the coolest buildings that there is. We have all the building inspections, like, roof dry-ins on the porches, that's all inspected, and porches really are kind of irrelevant for the show. We could put the roofing on there. I just don't want siders walking all over my nice metal standing seam roofing, doing details that I want. And I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters, right? I mean, I want to get the blue covered up, and the ice and water shield that we have on there, that's good for like 18 months exposed, the product that we use. So I feel, it's fine. But as far as the plat, we've been held up on a lot of plats, predominantly due to this Excel issue. And I have been head to head for months and months and kind of relentless. And finally agreed, we don't have to have Excel. And moreover, they're saying they may not even be able to service us. And it's a real predicament. I sent a letter to the county commissioners about it. We're probably about to have the Builders Association involved. We're back to the, 7 years ago, the issue we had in Winter Park, where they literally like, oh, we can't provide gas service. And out of the blue, right? And they knew that then, they knew what we were doing. Why are they not planning this stuff? So I don't want to belabor the Excel issues or turn this into a meeting about them, but we truly have been going back and forth with them endlessly. And my point is they're a referral agency. Just because it's a referral agency doesn't mean Fraser has to agree to them. You don't have to agree with a referral agency, right? It's your town, it's our town, and we have our codes. And there's nothing that says that we have to agree with any referral agency. We can agree to disagree and go keep developing our town, which is kind of what we're doing. So, with this note thing behind us, we can do that. I just have one question, Adam, though. What's the urgency to record the plat? I'm not selling the buildings. I don't have any tenants for the buildings. And I'm just curious, what is the urgency for doing it?
The process.
I mean, I just want it done. Yeah, I want it done,
It's a
but
process.
I mean, we own the whole parcel that it sits on right now. And so I don't think it's not like some urgent pressing thing. And just so you know, we pay the property taxes on those buildings. They're taxed differently than the rest of our property, just so you guys know. I think Peggy had mentioned property taxes at one point. So our tax bills, you can pull up our large parcel. And it has those two buildings on that parcel, but taxed as just conventional buildings. Okay, so, but it's percentage complete, right? The tax assessor takes, where you're at on it, and that's how they value the building. So it's not a tax issue. And if we were going to convey them, I agree 100%, they need to be recorded. I think we just want to get it done right. And we probably need to just, get the surveyors to do an update and a refresh on whatever remaining comments there were, and get it over to your team to review it, and then it could be recorded.
Okay, it's
As it-
still the final condition, so you should be able to get it done the next 180 days.
Oh, yeah. No, but that was one of the final conditions currently, to get a CO, and you're not getting a CO. That's what's really weird about it.
Uh-huh.
You're getting a completion certificate effectively, I
Mhm.
think is what it will be, because
Yeah.
it's a shell.
Yeah.
And then we'll be coming in like, Ski Broker will be the first tenant,
Oh, cool.
right? So that's gonna be, hopefully getting implemented here soon, design wise, and getting going on its new space. I saw sign designs today. That was
Cool.
nice to see sign designs on a building that you're putting up.
Awesome.
So-
Let's stop
You-
right there.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
coming along.
Do you have anybody else that's interested over there?
Bring them. Come on, Julie. You're a realtor. Bring them.
Okay.
So that's.
Can I,
We,
can I
we,
just
you
make
know,
a-
really, so, to be quite honest, guys, we could have filled this whole building with office. That's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
We built these things to be more of an entertainment central area. You got the bowling alley theater on one end, I got the rec center on the other. I like to eat, so, my office is right there. It's convenient to my office.
That dance club in there. I'll come out and boogie with
I mean,
you.
we have, I don't think y'all have seen them, but we have, I mean, your realtors are happy to come. You're welcome to come see this stuff, but we've done some really, really cool conceptual layouts of the space, of some ideas that we would like to see in there. We don't have any user, we've shown people, but we don't have anybody immediately. I do think when we finish them, when we paint them, that's going to create a little bit more activity. But there's a lot of empty space in town, guys, that you
Oh,
can move in like now. I mean, there's empty space everywhere. So, that's going to be a challenge for us. I'm up for it, and we're prepared for it, but I also want the right users. I don't need to put somebody in there and spend a fortune and they blow out a year later. We got to make sure that we get the right people. I tried to get Peggy's Cafe in there. She can tell you the story.
I'm still working with them.
So, yeah.
All these
Yeah,
years.
yeah, she can tell, Michael can tell you the story. It's not easy. I mean, running businesses in this town, is a challenge, quite honestly. And I think anybody looking here understands that. And we, we have to sell them on it. And we do need more critical mass. Those buildings, quite honestly, could be a little bit early, to the market, but, I think they're going to prove out to be really awesome. And then we're working on, the parcel across the street. When we're finished with all this stuff and clean up the construction, that parcel will come together in a big, big way. And it's gonna, like the designs we have for Ed and what we're trying to get put down there is gonna be really cool. And it's basically like a big green, right across from the building. So it's pretty neat. So,
So Clark, we would love to help you lease your space.
bring it.
And I think it would be really nice if you finished the landscaping. Because I don't think anybody's going to want to move into a building that doesn't look like it's finished.
Well, the nice thing, Peggy, is we can modify the patios and things like that still for that user. That's the beauty of it.
Well, you
know.
could maybe just put grass down and then you could say we could tear that grass up and put
Or better rock.
something that,
Beautiful
All good
rock,
input,
whatever.
all the input you can give me on ideas.
I bet he's gonna do what he can to
Yeah,
get it
we're
right.
open to ideas.
just
Yeah.
remember that landscaping season's in the summer, masonry season usually is not in the winter. So we've got summer and you've got a window.
I'll remind you, we built the rec center in the winter and all
Well,
the
I know,
masonry
but
was
you don't
done. in
wanna
the
be
winter.
landscaping in
So,
February.
yeah.
So let's see if we
Anyway,
can work on this.
yeah.
Can I just make a motion to approve this resolution so you get another 180 days to get this work done?
Thank you.
Got a question?
I make a motion to approve
Uh,
resolution 2026-0502.
Further discussion, and Lewis has his hand up.
Oh, there's a-
Yeah, I had a question. So hypothetical question, what happens in 6 months if this is not done? And maybe it's to the board
then
or
he's gotta come back.
to Clark, but we all want it completed, but we want an endpoint. We want this done, and we don't want to be revisiting this in another 6 months.
I don't think we have any control over that. I think he wants to get it done, and we don't want to slow him down at this stage, so.
No, we don't.
8 days is,
So maybe it's a question for Clark. Is this a top priority? You're going to get it done in 6 months, or are we going to be looking at this in another 6 months?
Well, Louis, I think Katie made a very solid point that get out of my way and let's go. Unfortunately, I spent too much of my time dealing with paperwork and legal documents and other things when I could be, showing my brick guys photos, because that's how we're doing this. Because our design drawings are not at a level that you can do what we're doing with by just giving them to a mason, as an example. So I can tell you, Lisa just said she's going to move if they're not done in 6 months. I think is that right? Yeah, and so
friends in Mexico,
there's that,
she really
Louis.
likes it,
And
yeah.
I think if you think that there's not a lot of work being done or that there's not efforts on this, then why don't you ask Lisa? And I think she can maybe give you a little bit of a education on. Yeah, you can go hang out with her. She just offered. You can come hang out with her and see. That's about all she does right now is trying to manage getting my finishes, the finishes I want on that building. Okay. So,
all right,
yeah.
Okay, so that's a yes.
yes, that's the goal.
Okay. We have a motion and it's been seconded. All in favor?
Bye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Okay. You go, guys. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Alan. Okay. Last but not least, Sustainable Communities Plan. Catherine Ross, hiding in the corner back there.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Yeah, felt kind of bad keeping you late, but it's
Just
still
trying
light
to-
outside and
I'm just here for the entertainment.
a lot of interesting things.
Before I start on the community sustainability plan, I would like to have you be the first people to actually big time locally know that, except for my chamber board, because I have to tell them things first, that the Beach Boys are coming September 2nd. On September 2nd, yes indeed.
Oh, fun.
To the Rendezvous Event Center, and it'll be a partnership with Anschutz Entertainment Group with AEG. They are taking the risk. We'll be working with them as partners to produce the show. There's one original Beach Boy. Mike Love there's two still alive, one out touring. And this is their only Colorado show. They're on a celebrate 250 years of America tour, and they'll be singing it's the 60th anniversary of, now I can't remember the name, or I should, the name of the album, but I'm too old to remember it. So
get 'em
yes, so they're
oxygen on
coming, but all the
stage.
good songs, all the good songs. There will be chairs. This will not be a standing up audience. This will be a sitting down audience. But it will be fun. It's the middle of the week. It's everything everyone says we should do. It's in September, in the middle of the week. It is ticketed, and we're not risking a huge amount of public dollars on it.
All right.
I like that.
And they made an announcement today on Colorado Public Radio, which obviously would be their audience. And we had like 12 phone calls today. We didn't even know they announced it. And there are people calling to know, were there going to be VIP seats? Was there early entrance? Was there disabled seating? Was there disabled entrance? Yeah. So there you go. You got it. I make a motion that we move the September 1st meeting to another night.
Yeah.
Second.
September 2nd, yeah.
Just have it there.
Yeah. Show.
It's a real public forum.
It's an early evening show, obviously, because old people are coming. So
Hey, maybe that'll make people stay for the week of,
Oh,
I guess Labor Day's after that, but.
but he's got it on time.
are there enough? I have some more.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, we got enough.
Cool. That's exciting. That's really fun.
Okay, so that's like not, can we not do the detail one? Can we do? Yes, that would be lovely. Yes. We don't want to do detail. No details. Okay. There, I made you all happy, so let's just skip the rest of the presentation. And you do know, I hope you all know that we are trying to kick off, I will get to this, I promise. We are trying to kick off summer early, kind of end the presently the winter. But so we will be pushing any Memorial Day events. So from May through June, we'll be doing a big push called Summer Comes Sooner. And we have a concert on the
23rd.
23rd of May with Matt Carney. And he's a popular 90s type, 90s, early 2000s artist. And we're looking forward to that. That's a free show. The Beach Boys is not a free show. Do not think of that.
No.
But yeah, so we're trying to, and we are trying to get all the businesses to tell us what they might be doing early, what kind of specials or deals or any of those things. The ski resort may be opening early for biking and slide. We'll see.
Unless it snows.
But I'm not saying
So
it.
then the truth.
And when we were asked to do this, we agreed to do it, and I said that I was pretty sure it would rain and snow, and I asked to get credit for bringing precipitation, and the day we would sign the contract with the musician was the day it started to rain and snow. So, okay,
Right.
all right,
Good work,
so
Catherine. Always done good work.
you asked me to come, the board asked me to come and go over the community sustainability plan, what it is, what it covers. We put together a pretty high level presentation for tonight, but attached to your information is a 42-page document that I did not make copies of because it's a sustainability plan and that would be silly. And I would be happy when you have time or questions and you want to go over details. I'm happy to come back and answer those questions. So the way the plan works is that it's a high level plan. It was brought together by the communities to bring a plan together that we can all share. That's kind of our North Star that documents things we say and things that the community at large values and works with, but isn't necessarily written down or documented, or there's no formal way to go and point to a plan that says, this is why we do this. So that was why the vision, that's why the plan started. The vision is, and that's about the plan. The vision is the Winter Park and Fraser Valley is a diverse community that works together to protect and preserve the natural beauty of our area while creating a place where our residents thrive and visitors enjoy distinct mountain culture, rich heritage, and amazing outdoors. There are guiding principles. We hold the following ideals together, Winter Park and Fraser Valley, and the strategic decisions will strive to enhance the distinctive quality of life for all Winter Park, Fraser Valley residents, protect and preserve our area's scenic beauty, environment, and natural resources, ensure all forms of local infrastructure support the long-term needs of our residents and visitors, and cultivate a sustainable, equitable, and diverse year-round economic base. These higher level pieces were pulled together. We held several community meetings where there were about 30 people in the room from all the different entities in Winter Park and the Fraser Valley that have something to do with how we live and work in Grant County. So everything from the Forest Service to government to nonprofits, HTA, there were Grand Foundation, Rec District. There were representatives from pretty much any nonprofit government entity that you can think of. And this was in 2023. And they came up with the basic structure of this plan. So you can imagine that you do your retreats and you come up with your goals for you all that know each other. So you can imagine that this was a process. And we had a great consultant who got us to come up with the focus areas. What do we really want to focus on? And the idea in building this plan was to create, again, to document how we as a community work together. We know we do this. None of this is surprising on what you see here for focus areas and strategic priorities. It's writing it down, it's being able to point at it, it's being able to hand this off to new board members or new people in our community to say, yes, this is what we do. This is how we make decisions. These are the values that these are the priorities in our communities to make us not just a surviving community, but a thriving community. So I'm not going to read those to you. Do you have any questions for me about do you think those don't make sense? They do make sense.
It makes great sense, I think.
Okay. So the first one is strengthen and diversify the economic base. So all of these success indicators are in the 42-page document of details that have action steps on how we would actually get to see these successes.
Ah.
So that it all intertwines with each other in a giant matrix that is inside my head these days. It's interesting. So you can see that really it's all those things. We want year-round employment, we want more tax revenue, and we really want to diversify the kinds of businesses that are here. And the way we would do that, the pieces that we have to do that are things like working together to bring more guests here, working to start to build a plan to bring more businesses here, as well as more residents through building affordable housing and better medical care and good schools that we can actually increase that. So all those action steps are in the detail. We want to improve infrastructure. So one of the things that I came to you with a few months ago was the wayfinding program, which we're moving on to step 2. So that's one of the things that was identified that we needed to improve our infrastructure pieces. We have a separate committee that works on infrastructure, and they have spent a lot of time on water lately, as so have you. So I don't know near as much about wastewater as you do, but I'm getting there. So the infrastructure group's working on that. They work on with the parking studies. And they also find ways. It's a group of people, like public works people, that come together, and Mountain Parks Electric comes to that. Sometimes nobody from Excel, they don't show up in person. So, but they work together and they talk about what infrastructure needs we have and how can they work together to make things happen better together than in silos. So a lot of what we do is trying to build those coalitions that work on things, bring people to the table. We don't fix it. We just try to bring the people to the table. Number 3 is strengthen the desirable characteristics of our community and enhance resident quality of life. A lot of this in the details is making sure that we provide the needs that the full-time residents have, and making sure that we do events that work for them. But more important, like what do they need? Some of it was really like being able to say that people are satisfied with their community. And if you go in the detail, a lot of it is some of the chamber things and the things that Sarah does here, Sarah Wick does. Protect our natural resources. So this one has a whole big group of environmental-based people who are working on making things happen. So the success factors will be really looking at working towards the achievement of our zero waste goals, looking at reducing carbon footprint and gases. Water comes into this group a lot, and public lands comes into this. How are we going? This group works on how are we going to solve these issues around the forest, the federal lands not being protected, and how is the community going to come together? They have been working on those things, and they've been working on with Mountain Parks comes and talks about, and Sustainable Grand comes and really talking about how we can build sustainability into pieces. And there have been some big improvements with that as far as getting the word out on some of that work that happens. We've been able to learn things and actually educate the community better on some of those pieces. The fifth focus is to promote the safety, health, and wellness of residents and guests. So this is transportation. This is making sure the community is satisfied. Also, this is working with the Grand Foundation and Building Hope Grand and the medical providers and making sure that people have access to medical care, mental health care, and that falls into this one, which I think we've seen lots of progress in that area in the past few years, and we will some more. So, questions on the 5 areas, concerns? So the way this works, the way the plan works is that, and then I'll give you the updates. The way the plan works is that the whole plan was built. We have the governance group. They bring your issues to the table once a month in the governance meetings. They voice, hey, you know, Excel is doing that. This was this month. We have to work together to get Excel to pay attention, and we're going to need to find a way to work together so that we have one voice, so that we're more powerful with that particular utility. And they don't make any decisions, and they don't decide they're doing something. What they do is brainstorm a potential solution. And then they bring it to all of you and say, what do you think? Should we work with Winter Park on Excel? Should we work with Winter Park in the county, or should we just take them on ourselves? So nothing ever gets decided in the governance meeting. It gets discussed what potential solutions might be available to us as a community at large. And then those ideas are brought back to you. So wayfinding was brought back to you before we move forward on a contract, because everybody recognizes we don't know how to get to Winter Park Resort. So those are and we don't know where the Fraser River Trail is. None of those decisions were made in that room. They were brought back to you before actions taken. So that's the governance group. They also have asked to have different work groups set up. So the 2 work groups right now would be the infrastructure group. So they work on the detailed pieces like, can we work together on our wastewater treatment center and how we're going to deal with breweries? Or is there a parking plan that we can work on together and not have to all do a parking plan? So it's a parking study. So they work on that. And then the second committee is that environmental focus committee that's really building the action steps in that category, which include lots about public lands and water. There's a lot going on about water that I didn't know. There's a lot the county's doing. There's a lot that we have to educate the community about, and they're starting to identify that and then work on how to educate the community. And I think we'll see that accelerated greatly. We have a meeting this month, I think in May. I think we'll see a big acceleration on that because of the drought. That will like start to focus on that, and as a community get the word out, have whatever we can with one voice to people. So what have we done so far? What kind of progress has been made by having this plan? These are just a few of the things. As you can see, the wayfinding, parking management, and some of that's working to do the share the ride plan, increasing. We know that we take note that funding affordable housing is important, and everybody works on it together so that we're not duplicating, which is good. Outdoor recreation management, and you can see the rest. That those are some of the things that the group has worked and brought back to you to work on together as a community. And then there are a few highlights of the updates. Last year in 2025, and we'll do it again in 2026, is that we did go out on Thursday nights and we talked to the community about this plan and put out the areas of focus and started to educate the community. And so we did that. We convened the Environmental Advisory Committee and we drafted an update. There's a big update. It's the last page of your detail. And we convened the Infrastructure Committee, and we are beginning to work on stage 2 of wayfinding program. So that's the plan, really high level. Questions, concerns? So Brian and Michael come now, and in Winter Park, I never know who it is. Okay, so in Winter Park, it's Nick and John, and now AJ's coming some, just this month. And we'll invite people to that meeting when it's appropriate. So, you know, when we talked about the utilities, there may be that we invite someone to come talk to us about that. Ed Ragnar comes as your county commissioner representative. Sky Folks comes to have a voice from our economic driver community. So that's, am I missing anyone?
No.
That's pretty much it.
A couple chamber people.
And it will ebb and flow as concerns come up, as long as this continues to be something that the community leadership wants to do. I've said this before, the chamber's role is we are just the backbone. So we call the meetings, we take minutes. Sometimes we have to herd the cats a little bit and get them to focus on their discussions. Surprisingly, but that's what we do. And then we try to put it together in a sensible form to keep it moving forward. Although it's a, you know, kind of wild and woolly group. And so whether or not we can keep them focused is not.
Yeah. But it's wonderful that you bring all these different entities to the table to talk together about the common problems and look for common solutions.
But I
It's
think,
awesome.
I think we haven't talked to the big groups enough. And so I'm glad you invited me to come, because it's been, when we first started it, it came, but that was 2023. So that was a long time ago. So I think maybe we'll find a way that we can do better updates to keep everybody in the loop at what's happening once a month, right?
Sorry.
And we have to have the meeting before we can tell you, because it doesn't always follow the agenda. But I did have two of my team members come this week, and they were like, "Are we going to the bar now?" When it got all done. So I said, no, that wasn't a bad one. So, questions or concerns about what we're doing?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, the last thing I have for you, you're all invited. So I think you all know that last year, Winter Park and Fraser were officially designated as gateway communities to the Continental Divide Trail. Very excited about that. And June 4th, 5th, and 6th, we're celebrating that new gateway status. And we'll be having, and we celebrated on the same week, same days as National Trails Day. So National Trails Day is June 6th. So I'm going to pass these around to you. We'd love the group. It's a collaborative group, and even someone from Grand Lake comes. And so there'll be lots of activities. We'll be putting it out online, but there's a dark sky party, there's a hike, there's a group hike on the Continental Divide Trail maybe, or ski, not sure. And then there's a weekend long scavenger hunt for families. There's a family activity on Saturday for kids to do at Cooper Creek Square. And then there's a special film nights Saturday night at Winter Park Brewery. So one event is here in Fraser and the other event is in Winter Park. So there's lots to do and learn about the Continental Divide Trail. And we're excited to like be an official gateway community, both towns, to really get people to see us, those different people who hike long distances. So I'll pass these around.
Is Grand Lake a gateway community? Of course.
We're just
Awesome.
seeing Grand Lake. That's what we call it.
It goes right through the town. The trail goes through the town.
Oh.
Any other questions for me about what we're doing as long as I'm here? Let's go summer. I expect to see you all on Memorial Day weekend.
Which Beach Boy is it?
Please.
That's gonna be there.
Mike Love.
Mike Love.
Like, do you even know?
Yes.
Do you
Oh,
even
yeah.
know who they are?
My very first concert was Beach Boys.
Are you serious?
Minnesota
Really?
State Fair.
Wow. Okay.
No. Yeah, I was about 8. It was the state fair in Minnesota. Yeah.
So Memorial Day concert, is that a day concert? What time is it? That's on Saturday.
That's in the,
right?
yeah, it starts, we have Rob Jeffkins on at 4:30, 5 o'clock. So
Okay, so that's so
I can
start
keep it all straight now.
4 o'clock.
And then the headline is on, but it's over by like 8:30.
Perfect. That's Saturday.
Yes. And Beach Boys, yes, I'm glad someone beside me. It is, but I was 8 years old when they were like first popular. But I do know all the words to all the songs. My mom played that a lot. Thank you all very much. Thanks, and I hope we see you out and about.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Catherine. I gotta give Catherine a hand because I think you're amazing.
Okay, updates.
I've got a couple.
Okay.
So talking about the extension for the um, trying to close on the financing for St. Louis Landing Phase 1. We did post the preliminary offering statement with our financial team. We did post that on Monday night. So we are on a good schedule to hopefully be pricing bonds on May 14th of this month and anticipated closing for May 24th this month. So once we close, be able to reimburse the town for those interims for that loan that was provided. And we'll be able to confirm on Monday whether or not we'll be able to move forward with that pricing and the financial closing with Chaffa on the Prop 123 and on the bonds on the same day. So that's
coming Monday.
this coming Monday. We'll be able to lock that down.
Okay.
So that's looking good. We also did have Jeremy Jones and Eve Ramo, if you know them. They're on our street operations crew, and they are the last two individuals on our street operations that have slotted CDL ability. So they both just got their CDLs. So it's great. So now all of our street operators that have CDLs slotted for the positions, we are at full rankings for CDL drivers. That just helps with the variety of the heavy equipment. And obviously for the snowplow operations next winter, I'll be very well positioned for that. So that's great. So if you see JJ or Eve, give them a pat on the back. And Sarah, you've got a couple updates you'd like to share?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first. Hello. Sarah Tanzarite, Assistant Town Manager for the record. We did yesterday, Michael did a 1-minute presentation to the State Housing Board along with Matt Ginsburg. And we did receive $1 million through their gap financing. So that'll go towards the St. Louis Landing project. And should help the town get repaid on those interim loans quicker as well. So, yeah. Paul and I traveled to Canyon City to present on a $1 million grant application for the public works facilities. We'll find out about that in the next few weeks. And then just wanted to remind everybody that May 30th, it's a Saturday, is our bike park grand opening. So we're assuming it will once again look more like summer out there. But we're going to kick that off with a ribbon cutting at 9 a.m. We've got some BMX pro jumpers that we're hiring to do a demo. We're going to have a kids bike decorating station and parade, some different clinics throughout the day. We've got a number of kind of food trucks and different vendors, a lot of the local bike shops participating. So it should be a fun all-day event that people can drop into at any time. So make sure your calendars are marked for that one.
Awesome.
That's very cool.
Good
Yeah,
work.
Michael, I think
Good work,
you
y'all.
should put on your resume for all these Bentonville jobs you're going to be applying for that you once spoke for 1 minute and made $1 million.
It was easy. She had to do all the application work, which was extremely painful. It's like writing a college paper every time you apply for these jobs. But yeah, that's my rate, right?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
$10 a minute. Any other updates from anybody else? I don't think I have any updates either. So,
Michael,
yeah.
nothing from you? Well done.
That's it.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
4 minutes to 8
Aye.
o'clock.
Any opposed? Look at that.
Thank you.
It's on at 7:54.
Actually, it's 6 minutes to 8.